A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to News First, where the people come first. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Increases fuel prices, long queues at Sipetco filling stations. Trade unions accuse India of deciding Sri Lanka's fuel prices. India's External Affairs Minister to visit Sri Lanka on Monday. Banned groups to be removed from blacklist for investments. Sumandaran speaks on meeting with the President. Don't sign international agreements secretly. Venerable Alle Gunawansathero requests the government. Cost of rice goes up. Protests against the rising cost of living. Shield Port City from money laundering. IMF issues recommendations. Houthi rebels attack oil depot in Saudi Arabia.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Newsfirst swept the board at the 17th Ragam Tele Awards that was held in Colombo this evening. At the awards ceremony held a short while ago, Newsfirst won the award for the best news provider along with several other accolades. You have been the strength behind us and therefore we dedicate these victories to you. Thank you for being with us. Newsfirst will continue to serve you as it has for nearly 3 decades.
දෙදහස් 21 වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම ප්‍රවෘත්ති විකාශය News First ප්‍රධාන ප්‍රවෘත්ති සිරස TV.
News First was adjudged the best news provider for 2021 at the 17th Ragam Tele Awards today.
නාලිකාවේ ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදක ජයමාල් රත්නායක.
News First Jayamal Ratnayaka won the award for the best English newsreader for 2020.
විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදක. ඉංග්‍රීසි TV1 නාලිකාවේ ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදක
News First Tarusha Kumara Singha was adjudged the best English newsreader for 2021.
දහස් 20 වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී සම්ප්‍රවේශක ඉංග්‍රීසි.
News First Charlene Benedict won the best English TV presenter award for 2021.
දෙදහස් 21 වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදක සිංහල.
News First Randika Sapuarachi won the award for the best newsreader in Sinhala for 2021.
වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී පුවත් විශේෂාංගය. සිරස ටීවී නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ රියාස් හාරිස් වාර්තා කළ ලංකා මුහුද කොල්ලකන ඉන්දිය දීවරයෝ.
News First Riaz Haris won the award for the best news feature report for 2021.
ඉන්දිය දීවරයින්
දෙදහස් 20 වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී කතිකා වැඩසටහන සිරස ටීවී නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ රසික දිනේෂ් ධර්මරාජා නිෂ්පාදනය කළ නිදහස.
News First Nidahasa program won the award for the best discussions program for 2020.
දෙදහස් 21 වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී කතිකා වැඩසටහන සිරස ටීවී නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ ලහිරු මදුසංකාරාචි නිෂ්පාදනය කළ මාවත කතිකා වැඩසටහන.
News First Mawata program was declared the best discussion program for 2021.
වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී වාර්තා වැඩසටහන සිරස ටීවී නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ රශික දිනේෂ් ධර්මරාජා නිර්මාණය කළ පුරාවත කොළඹ සැඟවුණු ස්ථාන වාර්තා වැඩසටහන.
News First Purawata was awarded as the best documentary program for 2021.
News First with the people.
Yemen's Houthi rebels attacked an oil depot in Saudi Arabia's city of Jeddah ahead of a Formula One race in the kingdom.
An oil depot in the Saudi city of Jeddah continued to burn this morning after it was attacked by missiles yesterday. According to authorities, no one was injured and the fire on 2 tanks had already been put out.
Aramco facilities in Jeddah as well as vital facilities in the Saudi enemy's capital Riyadh were targeted with a barrage of winged missiles. Ras Tanura and Rabig oil refineries were targeted by a huge number of drones.
Saudi authorities acknowledged a hostile operation by the Iran-backed Houthis targeting the depot. The attack on the facility took place ahead of the Formula One races scheduled for the weekend. But authorities said the event would go ahead by implementing the necessary security and safety measures. However, some drivers have expressed concern over their safety. The attack on Saudi state-run Aramco oil tanks have occurred amidst rising geopolitical tensions across the world. Saudi Arabia has found itself tangled amidst the war between Russia and Ukraine. As the US opposes Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Saudi state-run Aramco says it offers economic and political analysis and delivers crude oil to the US. It is against such a backdrop that the North Jeddah bulk plant, which accounts for over a quarter of all Saudi Arabia's oil supplies, was attacked yesterday. Saudi Arabia and China are now maintaining close ties. Saudi Arabia, which used to trade in US dollars over its oil sales for almost 5 decades, has now expressed willingness to trade in Chinese yuan as well. While China inclines towards the Russian side over the conflict, Saudi Arabia has regained its spot as China's top crude supplier by surpassing Russia. Foreign media reports that the Saudi king has invited Chinese President Xi Jinping for a meeting as well. The attack on the oil tanks had taken place amidst all these developments. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine led to a surge in global oil prices, eventually causing Sri Lanka's oil prices to go up. Accordingly, there is reasonable speculation that history may repeat itself after the attack in Saudi Arabia, which is one of the world's top oil exporters. Foreign analysts say that global crude oil prices are likely to go up after the attack in Jeddah. This has the potential of causing a ripple effect in Sri Lanka's markets as well.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is expected to reach Sri Lanka on Monday.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will attend the BIMSTEC summit in Colombo on Tuesday. He will hold discussions with Sri Lankan officials during the visit. The Indian minister's visit comes a few days after China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited India.
Sri Lanka is also facing a crisis in terms of food security. In ancient Sri Lanka, our ancestors used to prioritize food security ahead of a drought or war. But today, there is a shortage of essential products in the local market. Sri Lanka, which was once a self-sufficient nation, is now at the mercy of foreign countries. China has decided to provide 2,000 tons of rice worth $2.5 million to Sri Lanka based on a request by the government. The donation is to be made as a solution to the food storage in the country.
Lanka IOC decided to increase fuel prices last night, levelling a potential threat to energy security. The prices were increased without the approval of the relevant state institutions.
Lanka IOC increased the cost of fuel by 49 rupees with effect from midnight. The price of a litre of octane 92 petrol was increased from 254 rupees to 303 rupees and octane 95 petrol from 283 to 332 rupees. A litre of Euro 3 petrol was increased from 263 rupees to 312 rupees. Lanka IOC said it decided to increase prices due to the depreciation of the rupee and the rising global oil prices resulting from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Ministry of Energy has decided to call for a report on Lanka IOC's decision to raise petrol prices again. Minister Ragam said he previously instructed LIOC to maintain fuel prices in line with the prices maintained by SIPETCO. The minister said he has called for a report from his ministry secretary on the legal provisions under which action can be taken over the latest decision to increase prices. Lanka IOC has increased fuel prices 5 times over the last 4 months. 21st December 2021, a litre of petrol increased by 20 rupees from 157 to 177 rupees. 6th February, a litre of petrol increased by 7 rupees to 184 rupees. 25th February, a litre of petrol increased by 20 rupees to 204 rupees. 10th March, a litre of petrol increased by 50 rupees to 254 rupees. And 15 days later, a litre of petrol was increased by 49 rupees last night. Lanka IOC has increased the price of octane 92 petrol by a total of 146 rupees in the last 4 months. That is almost a 100% increase in its price.
Yesterday, the LIOC's managing director for Sri Lanka has issued a statement outlining what has happened to the economy and how it should be guided. National security has been compromised under the corrupt agreement which has given away the entire sea of Sri Lanka, starting from the port controlled by China. The agreement says fuel must be sold at a fair rate by maintaining a proper quality. The CPC and the LIOC sold fuel at that price even before the government came into power. Today the cost of goods has skyrocketed. That is because of the steps taken to betray the economy and the national security to India. This wasn't the outcome of the situation in Ukraine, global prices or the depreciation of the rupee. It is the result of India's moves to keep us in this trap. India is coming to our doorstep and influencing us with debt. Long queues were seen at filling stations run by SIPETCO and Lanka IOC today as well. Our correspondents reported that long queues were seen since this morning at a filling station run by SIPETCO. An IOC filling station in Anuradhapura had displayed a board stating that they had run out of both petrol and diesel. A long queue was seen at a SIPETCO filling station at the Mathura town. We are sad. It is difficult to make sense of what's happening these days. The cost of fuel and other items have gone up. I came to drop my wife at work. My daily wage isn't enough. Our assets have been given away to foreign nations. They sell Chinese and Indian products in the local markets as those countries want them. They gave away the oil tanks to IOC as well. They might close down SIPETCO filling stations in the future because of the pressure by IOC. Then IOC will gain a monopoly in the market. We will have to buy it. I feel the price will go up to 500 rupees even before a week passes. The shortage of dollars has arisen because they are in the account of a family. We voted for them. Now we are paying the price for that. Gamini Lokuge says they have distributed fuel and that 2 fuel bowsers have been dispatched. He should be at an elder's home now. A long queue for petrol was seen in Gaul after IOC increased petrol prices. A long queue for diesel was seen at a filling station in the Badula town. Long queues for kerosene were seen at a filling station in Orugodavatta.
Long queues for gas cylinders were seen in many parts of the country today as well.
A heated situation arose at a gas dealership in Bandarawala. The dealership was closed after gas cylinders were distributed to only a few people. Security camera footage captured how one customer had thrown stones at the dealership. The dealership owner's wife had sustained injuries in the attack and is being treated at the Bandarawala District Hospital. This was the situation at a Litro gas dealership in Galle.
How can we earn while standing in queues? Wouldn't the banking sector collapse? Aren't they smart enough to end these queues?
Gas cylinders that arrived at the dealership were not enough for the people in the queue. Long queues were seen to purchase gas cylinders in Hikkaduwa as well. This was the situation at a Litro gas dealership in Mount Lavinia. Our correspondent reported that the people were seen in queues since early this morning. Ragam at the V-Force volunteers stepped in to hand over bottles of chilled water to help those standing in queues today as well. Bottles of water were distributed among people standing in line in the Colombo, Galle and Kandy districts. Several donors also joined the distribution process today. Ragam at the V-Force volunteers collected back the bottles of water with the aim of avoiding pollution.
Power cuts continue to be imposed in the country as Sri Lanka's energy security is at threat.
Sri Lanka's energy and power security is facing a crisis at present. China controls the coal power plant in Norachole, while India carries out solar energy projects. The US also has a stake in the Yugadanavi power plant in Keravalapitia. These factors indicate that most of Sri Lanka's power sector is under the control of foreign nations. As power plants are running out of fuel, the Ceylon Electricity Board has been imposing power cuts. Tomorrow, areas falling between groups P and W will face a 2-hour power cut between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. Groups A to L will face a 2-hour and 15-minute power cut between 8:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. and a 1-hour and 15-minute power cut between 5:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. The CEB says it resumed the supply of fuel to the Kalanithessa power plant today. CEB spokesperson Andrew Navamani said 2,400 metric tons of fuel was released from Muthurajawala this morning. According to the CEB, the power plant will resume operations from Monday. The PUCSL said it is currently reviewing the need to increase electricity tariffs. Chairman of the PUCSL, Janaka Ratnayaka, said the process could take up to a month.
As problems continue to mount, silent protests were held in many areas today as well.
At around 7:30 this evening, protesters gathered in Palavatta and Kohuwala.
Our message to the government and any ruling party is very simple. Do your job. We have worked very hard. We are standing here today after having many problems in our homes. No fuel, no gas, no way to cook a meal. But we are standing here protesting and reminding you.
A similar protest was held in Jail as well.
But we don't see any plan, short term, medium term, long term. People are just bluffing. The authorities are bluffing.
We have enough resources in this country. We are in a strategic location. And we have just 20 million people in this country. But these people have not been able to feed these 20 million people. Everyone is on the streets. People are on the warpath, fighting for a gas, fighting for fuel. And who's responsible for this?
Protests were also held in several areas, including in rural Sri Lanka, today seeking a solution to the rising issues.
Farmers in Rajangana held a protest opposing the fuel and fertilizer crisis. People of Moronthota in Kegol were also involved in a protest. Another protest was held in Devalagama, seeking to protect the human rights of people in Kegol.
The people can't handle this pressure. They have begun booing at ministers. If they don't provide relief to the people, we will take action against them.
Some farmers held a protest at the Bulletin junction.
The cost of local rice has increased in the market, with traders complaining that the demand has been affected.
A kilogram of red rice is being sold at 180 rupees in certain wholesale stores and white rice at 175 rupees. Wholesale traders say the demand for local rice has dropped due to the price increase.
කීරි සම්බා 300ට දක්වා ආසන්න වැඩිට යන්න යනවා. නාඩු සම්බා රුපියල් 200 දක්වා ආසන්න යන්න යනවා. අනිත් ගෙදරට යන්න. දැන් මෙහෙම හාල් කිලෝක මේ ගානට ගිහම මිනිස්සු ගනීද? ඊට පස්සේ මේවා රම රත්තරන් බඩු සාප්පු වගේ මේවට මුරකාරයෝ දාන්න වෙනවා.
A kilogram of local red and white rice was sold at 190 rupees in Kandy, but imported rice from India is sold at 165 rupees.
ලංකාවේ විකුණන්නේ අපි මිල වැඩි නිසා රටහල් විතරයි විකුණන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ වැඩි නිසා දවසින් දවස බඩු මිල වැඩි යනවා මිල දර්ශන නැති නිසා. මිලක් නැහැනේ.
Farmers reaping their harvest in the Anuradhapura district say that their yields have dropped. The Small and Medium Scale Mill Owners Association says the issue over the cost of rice and paddy was created artificially.
The fertilizer crisis has affected farmers. On the other hand, consumers are burdened with skyrocketing prices. This situation was created artificially. If small and medium scale rice mill owners purchase rice at 112 rupees, it can't be sold at 180 rupees. Large scale rice mill owners don't face that issue. Paddy that was purchased at 52 or 55 rupees last year is now sold at 200 rupees.
රුපියල් 185 200 අතර මිලක 200ට වැඩි මිලකට මේ අවස්ථාවේදී වෙළඳපොළ සහල් නිකුත් කරමින් තිබෙනවා.
Time for a short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
News First with the people.
Welcome back to the news. The International Monetary Fund released its report on Sri Lanka today. It has made several recommendations on managing the country's economy.
The International Monetary Fund has outlined a 5-point proposal to restore stability in Sri Lanka's economy. In its report, the IMF said Sri Lanka's debt is unsustainable and that a comprehensive plan is needed to restore sustainability. But the central bank governor had earlier said there is no risk in debt repayments.
Most of these loans are Sri Lankan-based loans, which we have already negotiated for rollover. So we don't really see too much of a risk there. We have approximately a further $12.5 billion of debt in ISBs to be repaid over the next 7 years. And our strategy has been, since it is difficult to go to the markets at this stage, we have found alternative sources of new financing, which has assisted us to repay the debt of the ISBs.
The IMF has also said that money printing to finance budget deficits should be a last resort. The report adds that printing more money aggravates inflation risks. The central bank governor has said it is important to reduce money printing.
The amount of treasury bills held by the central bank was somewhat excessive. Now is the time for us to gradually reduce those holdings, gradually reduce the amount of money printed being in the economy.
But central bank data indicate that 200 183.8 billion rupees have been printed so far this year. The IMF also said the government must allow the exchange rate to be determined by the market. It emphasized that the policy to peg the official exchange rate is unsustainable. The IMF recommended that making persuasions over the exchange rate should be delayed so that it can adjust to market conditions. But earlier, the central bank had said there was no need to amend the exchange rate.
මහබැංක අවධානය යොමු වෙලා නැද්ද මේ exchange rate එක වෙනස් කරන්න? අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම යොමු වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
We have certainly drawn our attention to that. If there is a requirement to make any changes, we will do that too. But right now, this is the ideal rate.
The IMF recommended that Sri Lanka should increase income taxes and value-added taxes. It said tax exemptions have led to large revenue losses for the government and that Sri Lanka has one of the world's lowest tax revenues. The IMF said imposing retrospective taxes on past income affects a stable tax framework. The IMF has also said Sri Lanka needs an automatic mechanism to decide on fuel and electricity pricing. It said this is needed to eliminate energy subsidies that benefit the rich rather than the poor. In its report, the IMF also drew emphasis to the Colombo Port City project, which it said was important to boost investments. The report said it's important to limit tax concessions and comply with international tax standards. It stressed that the domestic financial sector must be shielded from offshore banking activities in the port city.
Over the years, the government neglected most of these essential principles when managing the economy. Partly as a result of that, we have ended up in a crisis. Even though the government mentioned that going to IMF will have a negative impact in terms of reducing what the pensioners receive, what the governments even receive. However, we do not see such recommendation as such. Government needs to consider these recommendations as a comprehensive policy package.
Certain recommendations are welcome, especially on growth enhancing structural reforms and also on monetary policy issues. But government should critically handle certain recommendations given by the IMF. For an example, how to increase the income taxes level of the country under the current inflationary situation and how to manage public wage bill. Those are very sensitive to the general masses.
The central bank says it has already made several policy adjustments together with the finance ministry. This is in line with the IMF's recommendations. The central bank said these adjustments include allowing exchange rate flexibility and market-based price adjustments to key commodities. It added that it is seeking a closer engagement with the International Monetary Fund.
Tamil National Alliance parliamentarian M.S. Manthiran says that during the discussions with the President yesterday, it was discussed that the ban on blacklisted diaspora groups should be lifted in order to attract investments to the country.
Yesterday, when the Tamil National Alliance had discussions with the President, the issue of Tamil diaspora's investments in this country came up yet again. 2 days before that also, at the all-party conference, this issue arose. And at that point, I said that there are many who are very interested in bringing their investments, but unless there is a political solution, unless there is devolution, they will not come. Yesterday, I brought to the attention of the government a further matter, and that is that several organizations and individuals have been proscribed. Now you can't proscribe them and also expect them to bring their investments into this country. When I mentioned that, it was stated that the government was willing to review the proscription, that they will do that. So if the proscriptions are lifted and if we make progress with regard to a political solution that meets the aspirations of the Tamil people, then I'm very confident that the Tamil diaspora will bring substantial sums of foreign exchange as investment to this country.
Parliamentarian Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam commented on the discussion held between TNA parliamentarians and the government. At a time when the country is facing an economic crisis, the government has agreed to the request of the Tamil National Alliance to lift the ban on some diaspora groups. This shows that the ban wasn't imposed on security grounds. This is a problem of racism.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has commented on the issues faced by the people at present.
අපේ රටට ගෞරවයක් තිබුණා.
Sri Lanka was known to be a country that is self-sufficient in rice. Now we depend on China for rice. Their prosperity for the Sinhala and Tamil area has scared the cuckoo bird away too. Everyone is cursing this government. These people have been left to starve. Parents are unable to see their children starving. People are standing in queues. The youth are hoping to leave the country. Farmers haven't been able to reap a good harvest. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa expressed these views at the 70th birthday of Venerable Thangalle Jinaratna Nayakathero.
News First with the people.
President's Council Sali Peris was inducted for his second year as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka today. The induction ceremony was held today.
Results of the post of President for the year 2022 and 23 of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. Sali Peris, President's Council, was elected uncontested for the year 2022-2023 as the President of the Bar Association.
President's Council Salia Peris was inducted for his second year as the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the years 2022 and 2023.
The BASL pressed the state to take positive action to prevent custodial deaths and in 2 instances intervened in the courts when such deaths occurred. In December 2021, after consulting several stakeholders, including the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, the BASL issued a statement on the perilous state of the economy, which was widely welcomed by the community. The BASL challenged bills which, in its view, were inconsistent with the Constitution. In this context, the vigilance of the bar will continue to be necessary to ensure that the sovereignty of the people of this country.
Justice Minister Ali Sabri was present at the event.
It's time that we should do that, so that our lawyers become current. They can face many challenges which is posed on them. They become on par with their peers in the area and internationally, because there can be many opportunities coming in their way, particularly with the opening up of the port city and the new financial center coming in. There can be opportunities, but the members of the bar should be able to absorb that, to embrace that with proper talent, knowledge and wisdom.
Attorney at Law Isuru Bala Patabandi was inducted as the BASL Secretary for the years 2022 and 2023, succeeding Attorney at Law Rajiv Amarasuriya, who completes his 2-year term.
UN Women published a research report on the demand for women workers in Sri Lanka yesterday.
The research report by the UN Women highlighted gender disparities and challenges in the labour market. Dr. Ramani Gunatilaka and Professor Sunil Chandrasiri had co-authored the report.
Women accounted for only 24% of managerial level positions in the fourth quarter of 2020. This has been broadly unchanged since 2015. Now, with additional household care and care burden imposed by COVID-19, more women are no longer available to take up work or are not searching for work. The report provides us with a roadmap that highlights the government and corporate policies which are critical to support women's full engagement in the labour force.
State Minister Dr. Sudashini Fernandopulle and Kasturi Chellaraja Wilson also attended the event.
In more news coming in from Ragam Tele Awards, Sirasa TV has won 2 more awards at the 17th Ragam Tele Awards, which is currently underway in Colombo. Let's take a look at more visuals coming in from the event.
Sirasa TV නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ කාංචන අමරරත්න හඬ කැවූ සූරපප්පා.
Surapapa, aired on Sirasa TV, was awarded as the best dubbing program for 2020.
හරිම ලස්සන උදෑසනක්. අනේ ඉතින් සුපුරුදු විදියට කුකුලා අඬ
දෙදස් විසියක වසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී ප්‍රශ්න විචාරාත්මක වැඩස්ථාන සිරස ටීවී නාලිකාවේ විකාශය වූ සමන් ධම්මික සහ
Sirasa Lakshapathy won the award for the best quiz program for 2021.
දෙදහස් විසවසරේ විශිෂ්ටතම රූපවාහිනී ක්‍රීඩා වැඩසටහන. Yenuka Amila Bandara.
Beyond the Boundaries, a production by the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, was awarded the best sports program for 2021. Super Dancer, a production by Hiru TV, won the award for the best creative reality program for 2021.
Reality show.
ජනගත ප්‍රවෘත්ති විකාශය.
Ada Derana won the award for the most celebrated news bulletin of the year.
TV Derana Prime Time News. Derana Prime Time News වෙත අපේ උණුසුම් සුබ පැතුම් ඔබට.
And in sports news, St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia won their annual rugby encounter against Trinity College, Kandy today.
St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia and Trinity College, Kandy faced each other at the Havelock grounds in Colombo. Trinity College led in the first half with 14 points to 3. However, St. Thomas's College bounced back stronger to add 14 points to their tally. The players from Mount Lavinia won the Canon RS Deserum Shield for 2021 with the final score reading at 17-14. A tense situation arose during the match.
The International Swimming Federation says it will support Sri Lanka in terms of swimming. Senator Senanayake spoke to its president Dr. Hussein Al Musallam in an exclusive interview today. He is visiting Sri Lanka on an invitation of the National Olympics Committee.
What Sri Lanka should do more teaching children to how to swim, and then more working on the training. Not the amount of quantity, the new method of training. And this is where FINA's duty and responsibility, my federation, the International Swimming Association, to come and help to make the system in Sri Lanka is updated, and the technical knowledge is also updated.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka, together with our interpreter this evening, Brian De Cruz. Good night.